What's up, Shinners, and welcome back to the Shin Dig podcast, where we like to get under the skin of the trials community. This week's guest is one of our first titled guests as part of the Shin Dig crew. He's also a fellow team rider of myself here, and yeah, he received the most important title of last year, and this is why we've brought him on today. It is the Shin Dig King of 2020, Mr. James Sheridan. Woohoo!
Yeah, boy.
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. How's it going?
Good. Some people may already know that you were given that title last year. Others who don't, but yeah, James was given the Shin Dig King title based on his shins. You may be able to see that in the Instagram. I didn't get a picture ready on my laptop here, but if you head over to our Instagram, there is a post on there. We'll probably put it up on this post too, as to the beating that your shins took. But mate, how are you? How you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Thank you. A bit stir crazy of everything that's going on, but it's nice to be chatting to someone. So yeah. Not bad. How are you?
Little bit of a normal life, having a catch up, chit chat.
Oh no,
I'm staying safe, mate. Yeah, staying at home, working from home, getting my exercise in as best possible and when possible.
Yeah, good man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Where are you in the world today, James? Whereabouts are you?
So I'm actually back at my parents at the moment. So I'm in Folkestone in Kent.
Okay, that's like right south. I want to say like that's not far from Dover, is it?
5 minutes from Dover, yeah, and 5 minutes from Eurotunnel. So
wow.
I'm sort of in between the both, really. So it's probably easier for me to get to a World Cup in Belgium than it is to a national in Yorkshire. So it's crazy.
I was about to say that. You better, well, you know, better off going to the Belgium Trials Park than maybe to Cambridge.
I know it's crazy, really, but yeah, it's right on the corner, but.
Yeah, right down in the south. Just what riders are there? Oh, Scott Wilson. It's not too far from that way.
He's about 50 minutes to an hour away from me. It's a bit of a funny old drive to Scott's, but he's about 45 minutes to an hour away.
Oh, okay. So it's not as close as I sort of envisioned. No. And
he lives in the middle of nowhere. That's the problem.
Yeah, he's only ever used as a stopover point for when we always get the ferry.
Yeah.
There's that point. And what are you doing to keep yourself sane at the moment, mate? What are you doing for work? Are you working from home? Your parents, how are you coping right now on your day to day?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm actually in between work. I work in sports development, and since I moved back home and everything was locked down, it's been really difficult to sort of come by the kind of work that I'm in. Yeah. Especially with schools and things. No one wants anyone in their school at the moment. So I've got a lot of free time at the moment. So that's been spent just sort of working out, doing a lot of home workouts. As some of you, I know you've seen a few of them, but some of the videos that I've been doing, I've been doing a lot of home workouts, a bit of riding when I can squeeze it in. Yeah. And at the moment I've got tonsillitis, so it's, I'm just sort of resting up a little bit, but yeah, generally just keeping myself fit and active, really.
So and people can go and actually see some of James's progress. It's actually a really interesting video. It's got me giving me that boost and kick that I needed again. So go and check that out. Really good transformation on his YouTube there. It's keeping him busy. Sad to hear that you're not doing too well, mate. But that, from what I've heard, if you kiss Charlie Rolls with tonsillitis, you will get tonsillitis.
Yeah, so, it's all his fault. He shouldn't have come near me. Oh dear.
No, and we rode. You rode up at the barn as well quite recently, didn't you? Or last year.
Yeah, it was. I think it was early December. Yeah, early December, and I was due to ride there a couple of weeks after, and then good old Boris changed all the rules again. I had a good ride up there. The barn is so handy, especially when it's it's cold, it's damp, and your joints don't move, and no one really wants to ride. So to have that sort of space was really nice to be able to sort of go to and have a good ride. And it's such a good area to practice in. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, just built for everybody, which What I will go straight into now, because I'll kick it right off with my favourite part of the show. We're not friends on Facebook, James. Okay,
I know, this is outrageous.
we're actually not. I only recently got Facebook again last year. I started using it again purely for the Shin Dig podcast, and now I'm using it for my media. Traffic from Facebook is unreal, so if you can't beat them, you join them. But I was able to find a few things. Where are they right now? I was able to find a couple of bits. So I'll show some pictures. James, you might have seen this part of the show.
All right,
perhaps give some context, a story behind it. But I was hoping this was the first picture I found of you on your trials bike that was on the internet. So
now I'm nervous.
Oh, hang on a minute. I should have set this up before I joined the call. Just very. How long have you been riding, James? What's just set this up? How long have you actually been riding a trials bike?
Yeah, a lot of people would be surprised by this. I think, and I was speaking to someone about this recently, and they thought I'd been riding like your Charlies and your Adams since like I was about 6 years old, and I haven't actually. I started when I was 15.
Okay, similar age to me. I was only 14, 15.
Yeah, I was a bit of a late starter, and I've been riding about 16, 17 years now then, and which still feels a long time. But yeah, I started quite late, and a friend of mine and we saw some local lads doing it in the street.
Yeah.
And we just decided to get a bike. And at first, I was waiting for mine to come at Christmas. So me and my mate, we used to share his bike.
Oh, like taking turns. Oh, that's
cute.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, real love. But yeah, we used to share his bike, and we used to just practice all the basics out on the street, like back hops and things like that. And eventually, I got mine, and it just sort of developed from there, really.
Yeah, it's always seeing someone then. Oh, I think I can do that. And do you remember what your first bike was then? What was that bike you were sharing to start with, actually?
Yeah, I know. It was an Onza T Pro. It was a 2003 model.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I had a T Pro. Oh, no, it's my second bike, sorry. That was my second.
Yeah.
My first official one that didn't have like a seat attached to it, perhaps.
Oh, this one had a seat as well. This was the 2003 one and it was the red and silver frame with the little red and black seat.
Oh, wow, actually, yeah, see, 2000, I can't remember what my year would have been then. It was the green one without the seat post, you know?
Yours was, maybe that was slightly newer.
Yeah, it must have been, maybe, I want to say.
Yeah.
Well, I started 2007.
Yeah. 2007. Oh, okay, yeah. I know, so, it was yours a sort of a straight down frame. Yeah.
Well, but here we are. This is the first, I think you can perhaps give us some more, is it even showing?
Oh, yeah.
Which one, where
I've got it, yeah.
There we go. I know what that is. That's a Koxx bike, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, that is a Koxx.
Yeah, that is it's either a Koxx XTP or a Koxx Sky. I can't remember.
I want to say
might
XTP.
Be
Kieran Whitefield have that exact frame that Koxx sent it to him when they brought out the.
Yeah.
But anyway, where is that for the listeners that can't see? It looks like it's a shot of James sort of on his Koxx in a competition there. Either elite or expert.
Yeah, I think at the time that was probably elite, and that was at Thriftwood. That was an Essex Bike Trial Club competition.
Wow.
And so quite a while ago now, and that Thriftwood was like the home to Essex Bike Trial. And it was always really wet, slippery, and absolutely disgusting place to ride, but it was just one of them sort of classic spots, really. And I actually think this clip here is after the competition of just messing around, and I can see in the background with the red and white helmet. I think that's James Porter in the background.
Oh, you can tell by his coat.
It
sounds strange, but I can actually tell by his coat.
Yeah.
But what an oldie. And you've got you're wearing Koxx trousers, or you've just got those shorts on and like looks like Monty shoes.
Yeah, there's they're the sort of 3/4 length Koxx shorts and some sort of under skins type things underneath. But at the time, I was actually riding for Koxx, so
that was my next. I've got it here. I was like moving on from that, like how many different. You've had quite a few support and sponsors sort of over the years that I want to go into in a minute. Let me just go to picture number 2 then. Quickly get that one going.
Yeah.
Where we've got number 2.
So good. It's all good so far. Nothing too bad.
No, I like this.
Cry.
Now this it's obviously a competition. Look at your baby face, mate. There.
I know. It's crazy.
What happened?
I know. Look, wow. Look at the haircut as well. It's very tight to my head. It's really funny.
And were they still? I mean, are you old enough to drink there? You've got champagne. I'm not sure, but try and give us some context to this picture. So for the listeners, it looks like it was the end of a bike trial competition.
Yeah. So this was a really, really memorable day for me. Actually, this was in 2007. This was in Latvia. I won the European Cup.
And the winner.
Yeah. So it was a one-day competition for the European Cup in Latvia. I went out there. I flew out there with Stuart and Brian Matthews, and there was only 2 British riders actually that went to this. I think it was me and Joe Seddon.
Seddon. Oh, what a guy.
Yeah. And it was an awesome competition actually. Really well set out. You know, Red Bull there. This is a BRU competition, by the way.
Oh, right. Okay.
And
yeah.
I remember I've still got the trophy. There's the trophy for the competition.
Nice.
So it was a really good day actually. And Brian was my minder for the day, and he was absolutely brilliant. He was, he was going around like one of the foreigners, dusting off the rocks. It was proper old school and a real cool day it was actually.
Yeah, really pushing all the sticks out of the way, making yourself a run up.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one. Yeah, and I think that day as well.
What I'm finding the most funny at this picture, I don't know why, is it looks like as a winner, back when Nokia was cool. Did you win a Nokia phone?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was part of the deal. They were one of the sponsors of the event. But the Nokia is, I must have it somewhere, but it's worse than the Nokia 3310. And the buttons were like, them over the top sized buttons that you get with the numbers that are huge on them.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It was one of them. So it was a funny. I don't think I ever used it or anything.
Mobile built for pensioners sort of thing. That's what I'm
picturing. Yeah, and by 2007, Snake was a thing of the past. So Nokia wasn't too appealing, really. But nice gesture.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think nowadays you wouldn't really win a phone. I suppose it is dependent on the sponsors and who's contributing to that. So another great one I found here. Wow. You can explain to me actually another display team that I never heard of. I thought I knew or heard most of them. I was wrong. Looking super happy there, James. Just like, oh, for goodness sake.
God, I look like a miserable teenager, don't I?
Yeah, I don't know. I was just trying to work out whether he's like, this Tarty Bikes t-shirt does not suit me. He's like, do I have to wear this right now? Or
I think I'd have to agree with that. Yeah.
Or he's being like, God damn it, 3/4 length trousers. No one wears these.
A bit of the lot, to be fair. I remember this picture actually.
So, give me some background now. I'll try and explain it very quickly for listeners. James is sort of stood at a bike with a bike display team logo behind him. It looks like he's at a show. Looks like he's aiming to be quite serious. Arm resting on a platform, looking at the camera. But maybe James can give us a little bit more on this.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm serious. I'm probably just like I say, the age where I've got a lot of attitude and everything. So, but this was at a local school fete, and it was a show that I was asked to do for my old primary school actually.
Okay, and what was could you tell us the bike display team name?
Yes, the Wheel to Wheel bike trial display team. So this is my display team.
Right, cool. Now I'm finding out. This is what we're here for. So, brilliant.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah, and to be honest, I sort of dipped in and out with the display team, and I'm sort of getting to a point now when events open back up that I've sort of rebranded it, I've refreshed it, and I'm going to start going out there and doing shows on a regular basis again.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of my first ever shows with the Wheel to Wheel rig, and it was at my old primary school. It was a bit of a day where we wanted to use it as a bit of a test run for the show.
Yeah.
And
testing
so we
the waters.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a good opportunity. It was local. It was we did it for free for them. It gave us the opportunity to test out our product, if you like. And it was just, and that was sort of like the after bit when you have sort of pictures and photos with kids and parents and this, that, and the other. So it was actually quite a good day, really, because it gave us a bit of an idea of how the shows would be shaped going forward.
Yeah, and how it would function, how everything works. Because it is complicated. It's a complicated world. I know that from experience. And it being, you doing it yourself just makes it that much more complicated. I only know that, I'll rock up, ride my bike, chat crap on a mic, go home.
Yeah.
And build it, move it. All of the prep before that, after that, to keep it all going is a lot of work, mate. So respect for doing that. I know it's a really hard thing to kind of push and keep going. Fantastic to hear that you hopefully going to keep that going. Maybe this year, perhaps next year, or progress with that. Everywhere needs a display team. I've realised now you can't have too many, because most of the time you're going to have someone else calling you up going, I'm double booked. Do you want to go and do that? And I'll go and do this.
I've had that a few times. Yeah.
We're all in it together, really. That's how we should see it. So I had this major dream one day of having an overall brand that covered every display team in the country. But we can always dream. We'll see. But just that kind of agency that's like, this is the one you go to, and they cover 10 different display teams or whatever.
No, it kind of makes sense, really, doesn't it? And,
I've been giving all my ideas out on the podcast now before somebody else steals them. But one day we'll.
Yeah, fingers crossed. There, you never know.
It's nice to know we've all had that little bit of experience where it doesn't really matter your level. Trials is impressive to watch.
Yeah, it's funny as well with the shows. It's you have to approach it and this is something I had to learn. Is something you have to approach it so differently to when you're normally riding or when you're riding a competition. Yeah. At first, I wanted to go to a show and I just wanted to do the biggest, best, most complicated, difficult things that I'd normally do on a day-to-day basis. And shows, eventually I realized that, they don't need to be that way to impress people that have not really seen it before. And it took me a while to get my head around that.
Yeah, you have to build towards it. I can only be like, warm-ups is also impressive to them. I'm just going to hop on the back wheel. Whoa, you're like, hang on, I haven't started yet.
Yeah.
Like, actually, wait, let me just take a step back and reanalyze that and how. More so, I always found that most of the display shows that we all do, we aren't just there to show off. It is a bit of a learning show and awareness show. You're telling people like, hey, look at this sport, you can do this, or if you want to get into it, here are the basics. Whereas, generally if you watch a huge crazy show, if we're doing big Nitro Circus style, I mean, it's a different discipline, but it's all about impressing rather than making them sort of aware. Or do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think as well, coming from a sports development background, I always went into schools and my job was to offer schools different opportunities to what they'd normally get in school. They usually get to do football, rugby, cricket, the usual sports. And to actually take out a sport like this that's a little bit different and show them another option, something they might enjoy if they're not into them traditional sports, is quite, it's quite important, really, that they experience these different sports, not just bike trials, but just a bit of everything, really, because I always say there's a sport out there for everyone. It's just finding what's right for you, and this is just another one of them cases where you can make people aware of something.
Couldn't agree more. When people say I'm not into sport, it's like, well, it might not be that, just you haven't found the sport that you enjoy or into. Darts is a sport, golf is a sport, and the whole point of golf is to play as little golf as possible. There's no other sport that says that, So,
it's crazy, isn't it?
You're like, the less you play, the better you are.
No, that's mad. That seems crazy logic, but
so it's just one of those. The reason it's so important to me is it was a bike display team show that got me into trials.
Yeah. Oh wow, really?
Look where I am here now. I watched a show, watched the team, Martin Ashton, and that's what got me into trials. And just started that kind of thing. So more reason when I want to give back into shows or anyone that's doing them, I'm like, you might go and get another rider on board. You might do 10 shows and get 2 riders, but then if one of those riders rides for an extra 10 years and ends up pulling out some content like this or anything, it's impacted the community.
Yeah, of course. It's such a small sport at the moment that, if you're like yourself, you're a perfect case then. If you get one person involved, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because then that one person then is going to hopefully show more people, and then that next person will, and it just branches out. That's that's how it ideally goes.
Yeah. Let's grow it. I mean,
let's do it.
We things like there's not been like an official DVD that's come out for a while. That's something I'm trying to work towards, and other things that just to give it that sort of boost again.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
For those that can't see James on the video, behind him has a lovely display of winning cups, trophies, however you want to call them, holy mantelpieces. Are they all from riding, James?
Yeah, so everything, I mean, you can't see it even behind the camera. All around the room, I've got trophies from trials, and these are, every one of them is trials related. And the shelf directly behind me, some of them are some of probably my most important trophies, and there's some others behind the camera. But they're all trials trophies and a lot of medals hung over the back. Yeah. And in fact, there's one there, I don't know if you can see it, a little small gold trophy on the corner of the shelf.
Yeah.
That was my first ever trophy, so that was quite an important one for me.
Yeah. It's a bit of a story behind it.
Well, I was in the novice category in the Essex Bike Trail Club, and it was my first ever year of riding, and I was getting terrible results at first, being a novice and being a beginner, and then towards the end of my first year, I got a win, and I won a trial, and it was I think from then on that was sort of like a defining moment for me. It was a bit like a you can do it type moment.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool moment, and it just sort of motivated me further and further, really. So that's always sort of stayed on the important shelf, if you like.
Yeah, and the level of reassurance that, I am working towards something. You're getting that and doing that. I wonder if there's a point where every rider has that you sort of get into it and then you're like, I am going to plow through this now. Like, or it might be, you might turn around and go, I'm already above average. Let's keep going. I'm always one that says to anyone, stick to what you're good at. Always say that
of course.
as much as you can. So,
definitely.
All right. I'll fire into our quick fire round, as we call it.
Oh God.
I always seem to forget the questions too, but one of which I'll dive into, which gave you, I want to say, the Shin Dig King title, is your worst shindig. Now, was that the one that happened last year, 2020? Would you say? Yeah, by a mile. I think it wouldn't have been so bad, but I've had an accumulation of different shindigs throughout the year. I think that was my third or fourth bad shindig, and by the time it got to that day at Radical Bikes, I think my leg had just had enough, and the slightest little hit, and it was just opened up. I was actually there on that day, and remember how brutal it was. What surprised me is that not every rider, but I know a lot of riders, despite it being on their shin, and you can usually still ride, that would take me off my bike for the day because it's throbbing, it's painful, it's stinging. James just made me laugh. It was pretty bad shindig, as you said. No shin pads on at this point, just leaving it raw. Cuts it again, and it's definitely one of the worst that I've seen in my years of riding. And again, we'll get some pictures up so you can see that. But so that was an accumulation of, say, what, three different sessions of shindigs.
Yeah, I got in the summer. I started riding in the garden during lockdown, and I, that material you get on shed roofs, like felt roofs.
Yeah.
I have that around some of the obstacles. So when it's slippery on beams and things, you get a bit of extra grip. And my leg slid down one of them at one point. So I had like not a shindig, but like a burn down my leg.
Yeah.
And then that started to heal. And then a week before you saw me that day at Radical Bikes, I did that same shin at a local spot, just pretty much walking along, and I've just pedal come round, smashed me up, and Yeah, I should have wore shin pads really from that point onwards, but
I know later on that day you did, so you were like, right, I'm gonna go put some shin pads on just to.
I've even bought a pair now.
Yeah, I'm biased because I just hate them. I just hate the feel of them and all that kind of. Yeah.
Well, Ben sent me some of them Jitsi ones, and I was really against it at first, and I hate wearing shin pads too, but since I've been wearing them, I've worn them a few times now, and it actually feels like there's nothing on my leg, which is quite nice because I don't like feeling like I've got lots going on. If that makes
restricted.
Sense.
Less is more for me. Like I don't wear gloves. If I, literally the only protection I have is my helmet, and then if we could ride naked, I would, but I'm not sure that would be socially accepted.
Well,
perhaps in another
depends where you go. Oh,
this is just another funny video idea I've got that would be censored, of course, on YouTube, but that just would be hilarious. So
you might get a good view count. You never know. So
it's clickbait, mate. That's what it's all about. They're like, what? Watching someone's testicles swing in the winds whilst they're riding natural.
No, with the shindigs, it's not even a. To be honest, I didn't find it that painful that day. It hurt a bit, but I find the worst thing about any shindig, especially on these big group rides, it's when you've got a group of people around you and it happens, and it's everyone else's reaction when they all sort of go, like this, and it makes you feel so much worse about it than what it actually is.
I like to think that we've tried to flip this on its head. Into the community in the sense that now when people get shindigs, they're like, oh guys, get a picture, send it to Matt, quick, get the photo. Like, look at this shindig. It's turned it into this really great thing where you'd always avoid it, but like, oh god, I hope I don't hurt myself. But now something happens and people are sending it to me, even if it's something small, it's the thing. I mean, like, oh shindig.
Now you've brought shindig titles into. I think everyone's going to be trying to fight for that in 2021. So everyone's like, if they get one, they're gonna wear it like a badge of honor.
Mate, this is what it is. Your prize will be in the post when we get there. I'm still working on lots of things and goodies to to do that. So there's other crazy, silly ideas for merch that we're trying to get through. But yes,
that's awesome.
That's moving on to the point where we will be looking for a 2021 Shindig King. But obviously we've got much of the year to go yet. I've already had some contenders come through. So yeah, all the listeners, please keep them coming in. They're shindigs, so it could be anything really. I was speaking to some free runners the other day and they were like, oh, hang on a minute, we get shindigs. So like, okay, well, all you need to be, really just a trials rider. If you didn't do it on your bike, doesn't worry, just say you're a trials rider,
And shindig is shindig.
What's so speaking of rocks and spots and all that things, what is your favorite spot to sort of ride your bike at? One of your favorite locations?
It has to be I mean, in this country, I do this country and abroad. So this country, I'd probably say Portland.
Portland
being a sort of a competition natural type rider, I really love Portland. It's just endless rocks and terrain, and it's by the sea as well, which is, on a summer's day, it's the nicest place to ride. So I love Portland. And abroad, I'd say La Poma Bike Trail Park.
Haven't been there. I will be checking that out just to give it some context. What was it called? La Poma.
Yeah. I first went there with on the first Trials Addict trip with Ben.
Yes, which you can go watch that video, I believe, right now, can't you? Barcelona, Trials Addict Barcelona is on Vimeo.
Really sort of it's a good video actually. It captures the sort of the vibe, if you like, of the week. But
to me, that's what a good video is, capturing the essence of what's happened rather than trying to impress. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool spot, and it's just so well put together, and they sort of the way they've placed all the obstacles. There's so many different lines that link to each other, and it's just a really cool place. And to be honest, there's so many of them types of places in Spain. There's probably even better parks that I haven't tried out, but that one just always sticks out to me. It was just a really cool place.
Yeah, I want to hopefully get to some parks. I want to say this year, but I'll probably jinx it and ruin it. But soon
No.
to do a Trials Park trip, what we'll call it, where we'll just literally go to different parks because it's always
Yeah.
guaranteed. Next question: who do you think is your sort of biggest inspiration, or we've been sort of tying in two questions here, or your biggest motivator? So, you know, someone that doesn't necessarily have to be someone that either gets you out on your bike or you watch them and it's like, oh, actually, I want to ride. Who might that be?
Oh, yeah. I mean, from a trials rider perspective, watching other trials riders makes me want to get out and ride. And if I was to say a rider out there that motivates me and that I watch and I think, yeah, I want to get out and ride, that's probably Benito Ross.
Yeah.
And it's always been the case for me. You know, even at this age, he's at, you know, he's, I don't know, 38,
He's
39.
He's late 30s. I know that.
Yeah.
He's
And,
past the mids.
but he's just an absolute animal. And I love his riding style, his commitment to every single move. And yeah, he's so good to watch. And his riding is so explosive and so, I don't know. There's just something about his style of riding that I really enjoy, and it makes me think I'm going out now. And yeah, he's really cool.
Another step up. Like I'm saying, he being a 20-inch rider like yourself, you know, of that level.
Yeah.
What made you stick with a 20-inch bike?
Oh, yeah.
Because lots of people progress. I'm biased too. I've tried 26, didn't quite work out. What made you always stay with the 20?
Yeah, I think multiple reasons, really. I think it was one of the reasons is because so many people do switch to 26 as they get older. I kind of wanted to just sort of not be that person. I wanted to stay with it and just see where I could get to on a 20. Yeah. I think the other thing is, you know, I've always felt like it suited my riding style, and I've always managed to ride at a fairly okay level. So I've always sort of stuck with it, really, and for them reasons. And I've had two 26-inch bikes.
Okay, so you have had them. You've given it a chance.
Not really. Yeah, I sort of had them. I didn't get them brand new. I remember I had one off Ben Savage quite a few years ago, one of his old ones, and I've had one off Carthy before, one of his old Koxx Skies. And I got them, and they just sort of sat there, really, because I sort of had the mindset that if I start riding that 26, then I'm not going to want to get back on the 20 again. Or if I start riding that 26, I'm not going to be able to ride that 20 like I did anymore. You know, all these little head games almost. Yeah. So I just kind of ended up just steering away from it and just staying with the 20. And I've always been a bigger fan of the 20-inch riding. When I watch the sport as an outsider, I always find it more exciting to watch the style of riding. There's very few 26-inch riders that excite me, really. You know, Jack, yes. Giacomo Castiglia, he always, you know, really sort of was exciting to watch. And there's a few, but generally all the 20-inch riders, you see Dominic Oswald, you know, Charlie, Benito, all of these riders, they're a lot more exciting, and that's just my kind of thing, really. It's my preference.
Yeah.
But,
no, I really couldn't, sort of agree more with that. I think my view to it is it's the same thing. I like to be different. You know, you like to try and stand out. And I think 20-inch if a 20-inch rider is keeping up with the 26. Right,
yeah, it's a challenge.
It's more impressive.
Yeah.
You're sitting there riding, and that's why a lot of the guys on bigger bikes might be like, oh, you're on a kid's bike. It's like, that's because you can't do it on the kid's bike.
Yeah.
I'm biased too, but I sort of, I've tried 26, could not do it at all. I got a 24 because I was just getting a bit bored. I needed to just, you know, rustle some feathers, get something.
Switch it up a bit.
Yeah, to change it up. And that for me actually found that when I went back to the 20, I was like, oh God, I love it. It's just making it that more fun and flicky, because I always call you James the Flea. The way that you ride is you are like a flea jumping, just like whoop, boing, boing. If you haven't seen it yet, please guys go and check out James on YouTube and his riding. Amazing. You can see I can see why you'd want to stick on a 20-inch. Definitely.
Yeah, it's just something about it to me. It's just so much more appealing, and yeah, it's just, I don't think I'd ever change. It'd be a waste of time me buying a 26 inch because, and it's just, it's a totally different riding style. And I just prefer the idea of riding like a 20 inch rider, which is more sort of, static power and all them types of things rather than these big
It's much
pedal
more
ups.
flicky. Yeah. It's a lot more
Exactly.
flicky.
It's my type of thing really, but
Yeah, I agree.
each to their own.
Well, what would you say is your favourite trials bike that you've had over the years? Then you got like a proper favourite?
Oh no. Oh Jesus!
You might not. You might not.
I've had so many bikes, Matt, to a point that people would think it's ridiculous the amount I've had. Like I mean, Koxx bikes. I had 36 Koxx bikes.
Okay, so you've got some numbers that you remember. Most people are like, I don't know, but that's a Koxx alone, 36.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like one every couple of weeks in a year.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I had quite a few of them, and I had 3 Azoni's bikes. I've had a Rockman, a Z, and now the Crew Curs. I'd say Crew Curs is the best bike I've had. And especially with the riding style and the Geo and the way things are going, it's the best bike. But my favourite bike has to be probably the original Koxx XTP with the cutout at the front of the frame.
Yes, I know the exact one you're talking about. Yeah, because I always thought that was like the first kind of, wow, like frames have got holes in and the steering.
I know. And they looked so impressive at the time. And so good. I remember the first time I considered getting one, I went to the bike show in, I think it was the NEC.
Yeah.
And Koxx took me into the arena and said, look, have a go on Benito's bike. And I was a bit like, okay. I was like, whoa. Yeah. Well, at the time, because I was fairly new to it, I nearly made a right press of myself because I didn't realise the brakes were the wrong way round, the opposite way round.
Mate, I only from personal experience, but please go into that.
Yeah. And I remember I picked it up on the back wheel, and it just sort of come out from me, and I'm quite good at bailing, so I landed on my feet. But after that, I was like so cautious, it was ridiculous. But I'll never forget that day. That's the exact
same. I've done the same thing quite recently. Who was it in Bristol? Who came with us? Oh, Sasha is a rider from London. Had a go on Charlie's bike. He's a European rider, and just let me have a quick go. First hop, he'd been there for about 30 seconds and properly wiped out to his back. So you got lucky there, landing on your feet. That story is way too common.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. At the time, I didn't have a clue, but I still came away that day with that XTP, and I'll never forget buying that bike. It was such a cool moment. I'd worked for about, at the time to spend £1,300 on a bike. That was,
Yeah, back then even, because Koxx went into liquidation in 2012, I think it was.
Yeah. But I was barely working as well. So, I was at college. I was doing a little bit of part-time work. So that sort of, I spent all my money on that bike, and
you got a mortgage for a bike.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's the coolest bike I've had. I think I've had some really cool bikes. I've had prototypes sent to me. I've had some bikes that no one else has had, I think.
Well, that's what I wanted to go into now. Like, can you name the list? So, as you say, you actually got the support from Koxx in the end, didn't you? What are the brand names of sponsors that you've had supporting you and you've supported over the years? Because I'm not sure of all of them, so I'd love to know.
Yeah, so my first bit of support was Koxx. They were absolutely brilliant, to be fair. They sorted me out with bikes, parts, advice on the phone. They were just really good and really friendly, really helpful all the time.
And they saw potential in you, obviously, as a 20-inch rider. Like, we need other people in the UK because most of the riders at that point were Spanish, I think.
Yeah, and other riders at the time that were, Ben Savage was a Koxx rider, but he just moved to 26-inch.
Oh, of course.
So there was no one really on a Koxx, maybe at that sort of senior to elite level, that was riding a Koxx bike. So they said they'd support me, and they were just really good throughout the years. And to have that many bikes, I was obviously riding for a fair few years. as well as Koxx, from there on, I was with Tarty Bikes for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And they sort of scaled down their team. I remember they scaled down their team a bit. And that's when I got a call from the one and only Mr. Trials Addict, Ben. And
Mr. Ben Walsh.
Yeah, and he's been supporting me for quite a number of years now, alongside other people. I was sponsored by Azonies for quite a while, and alongside them, Ben would be supporting me. And but yeah,
he's probably the longest support that you've had through your riding, isn't he?
That's probably. Yeah,
trying to work out.
Yeah, he is now, actually, I'd say, after Koxx. Yeah, and do you know, I've had a really, and I have a really good sort of relationship with Ben. He's a really good guy, as you know. Yeah. He helps me out. He's always there at the end of a phone, at the end of Facebook Messenger, whatever I need to get a hold of him, he's there, and he will do his utmost to make sure I get what I need when I need it. And I always say, I know it sounds cheesy and it sounds like I'm probably bigging him up and bigging the brand up, but, he does give you a really good customer service. Yeah. And I'm all about that. I've always been about that give and take. If you give your best to me, I'll promise I will give my best for you. Yeah. And he's been absolutely brilliant over the years. And
I think on that personal level, that's why he really has. Before he only took me on as a team rider kind of last year. I think it's probably creeping up to maybe 1 year. It wasn't till I've got enough 20-inch riders. You've got 24 inches now, Matt. Yeah. Okay, cool. You can join the team. Is your bike green? Yes. Okay, you can join the team. Well, he kind of sort of asked me, I don't know what sort of maybe came over him. I think that maybe the stuff I was doing helped, but not much changed in terms of the way that he would always offer that to me. So what I'm trying to get at here, regardless if you're a sponsored rider by him or you're just sort of a customer, he gives you this service that is super personal, as if he's like, it doesn't treat you like you feel like you're a customer. Sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that makes a huge difference. He's, I know people that have spoken to him that barely know him, and he'll treat them like a friend, like a mate that he's speaking to.
Yeah, that's why I love the thing of one of the big things about trials. I think we are reasonably good at that. Most of our groups and other disciplines, you see someone with a trials bike, you are like, oh, they're already my friend. That's my friend. Cool. That's my friend.
Yeah.
I don't know his name, but hey, buddy, how are you? Yeah, great to see you. Yeah, cool. Oh, by the way, I have no idea who you are. Like it is a normal thing. At Radfest, you see people, you're like, hey, buddy. Both of us go, what's his name? He's probably gone to his mate. What's his name?
Yeah, it's so true. But it kind of has to be like that. It's such a small sport and a small community that if it's not like that, then the growth of it will just never happen, and that's what makes, I don't know, that's another reason that I do this sport every day, is because of the way the community is. And I think
it's what's kept me in it. Yeah, that's for sure. The idea behind it, of it being so niche. And also I have discovered that to be a trials rider, you do have a certain sort of screw loose or some kind of... it takes a certain person to, do something that's so... I want to use the word sort of strange, but, different.
When you think about it, it's the people that don't do trials and they look at you and they automatically think you are mental, don't they?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, you'd be like, you are mad. I'd break a leg or be like, I'd be dead after the day, sort of thing. Hear people say that. Yeah,
but it's a very different kind of sport and a different kind of community, and it's one that I'm sort of, I don't know about you, but I'm really grateful. It shaped so much of my life. It's taken me into all of my jobs in sports development. I have no qualifications whatsoever. My jobs and
So you just went to your interview with your trophies then? Is that what happened?
Pretty much, yeah. Just walked in, just clanking.
It's all right, guys. I don't have a certificate or anything, but kabam! You're like, I'm not bad on a bike.
yeah. Started hopping in their face.
Experience is everything, though, mate. This is why it's all good having qualifications, and certificates that say, "Hey, I know 2 + 2 is 4." That doesn't matter if you've experienced it. You turn around and go, "He knows 2 + 2 is 4, but I know I can get 4 ones and make the same thing." It's this kind of actually the experience is everything. For me personally, so that probably had a major assist in your sort of career. I know that trial shaped my life 100%, mate. Could not agree more. Shaped me, helped me travel, make the new friends. I've done it a bit backwards. I've now using my career to try and put something back into trials, which is exactly what we're doing now.
Yeah. So, it's amazing. Yeah.
I actually felt that it was, I don't know what the word is for this, but I felt it was my duty to some extent. As we were saying, the sport was so niche, and I was quite into podcasts and sort of media anyway. And I was thinking, God, I really wish there was something I could find to put down and download this. I was like, it doesn't exist. Hang on, I wonder who in the trial. Oh, you need to know a bit about sound. I'm not saying you have to be a professional. That's not what I mean. But, you have to have an idea or already have the equipment to make that happen. So I did feel it was almost my duty to try and bring that to the world and get these conversations going.
Yeah. And it's such a small sport. You need more people to be doing stuff like this and put in a bit of, if you don't have to, but if you care about the sport and you want to see the growth of it and you want to see it develop, you have to get involved and figure out ways in which you can contribute to making it that bit bigger and creating that awareness like we talked about. And
there's a really good one from you. If you haven't yet, guys, you can find James Active on Instagram, and I think, is it the same on your YouTube?
Yes. So James Active on YouTube, all one word.
Yep.
And on Instagram it's James1 Active, and I'm on both there. To be honest, I steer away a little bit from Facebook, but Instagram and YouTube, hit me up. Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good. Excuse me. Exactly what I wanted to plug right there, right now. There is a really good inspirational kind of transformation video that James has done. Like you say, you've been very busy over lockdown from February. March was our sort of first lockdown, and as you said, they're missing out on a lot of work. But you can actually go and see James's work on his YouTube, and he gives us a little insight there on how he got there. So I think it's important for anyone, not just the trials riders listening, but for anyone who's just looking for a little bit of inspo and a little bit of advice on how to improve and what to do. I haven't tried a calorie deficit diet yet, so I am trying it right now.
How are you finding it?
Starving. Absolutely starving. I've done the keto. Sort of the one I found the best was a ketogenic diet. I did that last year and worked wonders for me. Let myself go in about 5 months at the end of last year. So I've decided to take on something a little bit different and try what you yourself tried, is the calorie deficit there. I'm just starving all the time.
I can see you wasting away on the sofa, you poor guy. But no, I think as long as you do it sensibly, it's people. I talk about this a lot in my last video, and I don't want to sound like I'm preaching and like I know it all, but it's not the case. But I do have a bit of an idea.
There's proof, or just saying it's like you could just show us, like, okay, well, this is what I did and this is how it came about. But please go onto YouTube to see more. But go on. No,
it's I think as long as the biggest thing you can do when you're getting involved with this kind of thing is you really have to educate yourself, and you have to know why you're doing something what you're doing and how you're going to do it. If you don't know these things, you're not effectively going to achieve good results. And with a calorie deficit, it's people don't really understand how that term itself, let alone what it entails. And I think, I don't know, I've spent so much time research. I mean, at your fingertips on the internet. I touch on this in the video, but we've got so much information at our fingertips with the internet. And yes, some of it's rubbish, but there is so much useful guidance online that you can find to help you reach your goals. It's crazy not to take advantage of it.
Yeah. Or there's also an overflow of information. I think that's why in this generation now, we've gone past that threshold of, our library's getting this information, and now you can get so much information that there's too much. So we can get lost through that. So obviously it is kind of careful, but that's why I think I relate to people that we know more and we can trust. So it's all good. You can find this information. This is what I'm getting at. A video on YouTube about how this person progressed and improved themselves. It could be anything for the riding, could be just for health, for whatever sport you are. When you know and trust that person, it does have a much better impact. 100%.
Yeah, totally. And I think results seem a bit more real if you actually know that person. Sometimes you look at pictures and of online influencers and all these kind of things, and sometimes you think,
how can you trust them? Or they're being told to say that. That's why I always find it like, I'm not really sure.
And it's you don't know if things have been photoshopped, whether are they taking performance enhancing drugs to do this. There's so many different details that you have to figure out when you look at someone else and think, do I want to listen to the information that they're feeding me? And like you say, if you know that person, you've automatically got that little bit more trust. And I'm and I'm open to helping anyone.
It's more respect, I think, too. I always feel like because you know them, you're just like, you're happy for them. You get that kind of buzz. If someone is completely straight, you get that kind of buzz to being like, oh, hang on a minute, mate. Yes, loving that.
Of course.
I'm getting off knowing that you're improving and getting somewhere, and that way, I think it has that domino effect. Yeah,
and I was really surprised when I put up the transformation side of things. I put up a post on Facebook, I put up a post on Instagram, and the video, and I've had such a good response from people just saying, well done. Some people have asked for some support and help. There's been lots of comments, but it was a really surprising sort of engagement, if you like. And
it's not an easy thing to put up and share that kind of stuff. I know it's not really one that I would really want to do. It
can come across, and I would never want it to come across sort of cheesy, vain, or just look at me, look what I'm looking like.
I don't think that's it, James. I would say this is what you've done. You're like, hey guys, look at this. It's not look at me, it's look at this, saying like, this was done here, this, rather than just putting, going like, hey, I would say it was look at me if you just put an image up and you try and say, cool, here's what I did. It was one of those things where you kind of shared with your listeners, your fans, whatever it is, to how it is, how you do that, and this is how you get there. So I think you've made a good approach. So definitely keep doing what you're doing. James,
thanks.
Everyone likes to see everyone's journeys, and the bottom line is just creating content, putting it out there. That's what we just want to keep doing.
I think a lot of people as well, as especially if I keep everything that's going on at the moment, you have to look after your physical and your mental health, and people don't realize the benefits. They don't educate themselves. They don't realize the benefits of physical activity and what it can do, not just for a look, but a feeling almost.
Yeah.
And there are so many benefits. And I keep saying that doing something is so much better than doing nothing at all.
Yeah.
Even if you spend 5 minutes of your day just having a quick run around the block, it'll make you feel so much better for a short period of time. Even
I think that's why I hate running. Absolutely hate running, but I do run.
Same.
It's more so for my head. I'm not gonna go out there and become in the best state I've been and really great. I know for a fact I'll go and run, come back, feel better for it, and then I actually sleep better that same night. I'll notice right away if I haven't exercised, I will not go to sleep. So
huge differences.
Yeah, man. Well, I hope this has kind of inspired some other people to keep themselves healthy. It is always good to get out on the bike, but if you can't get on the bike, point being, do whatever you can to keep yourself healthy. It's only going to improve yourselves being on the bike. Mate, it's been amazing to have a chat with you today. I will finish off with the one final question we need from everyone. Who do you personally want to see on the podcast? Who would you want on the show? You can name drop anyone or a brand or anything.
I'd like to see you get on here someone like Benito Ross, who's someone who's been around since like the beginning of time. He's seen everything within. He's seen everything. He's done everything within the sport, and I just think that would be such an interesting conversation. I don't know how that would go.
No, I think that's a good. I did say anyone, and it can be.
Yeah.
We sort of started off as it's a UK based podcast, but that doesn't mean to say the hosts can be UK based. I think we will have to branch into the European area, as long as Brexit still lets us do Zoom calls, I think.
Yeah, of course.
I've got a few riders on the list that I know. I will add Benito to it to get that ongoing. There's some names have got back to me quicker than others. Some people are reading messages and not replying, so I'm like, oh, but we'll see.
Keep badgering them.
Well, it probably only takes a couple more of these with someone that they know, and then they'll be like, oh, actually, yeah, come on, let's jump onto that one. So, Mr. James Sheridan, again, mate, thanks so much for coming on, my fellow Trials Addict rider. So there's a plug there for you guys. Any Trials Addict goodies, make sure you head to the website, or you can just come and ask me and James. We'll be able to hook you up. You can find James's YouTube at James Active.
So it's James Active, all one word. Yep. Yeah, head over to there and subscribe to the channel for all things fitness and trials. And if anyone's got any recommendations, I'll try and put something together.
Yeah, give James some ideas. Maybe you can. I don't think yet there is. We will maybe talk about it more on that, but there isn't trial specific gym workouts yet on YouTube.
Something I'm keen to. Yeah, I'm so keen to.
I know how much you're doing, but it's like how many people ask. Like people ask Andre. People ask me, like, what am I doing to improve? And it's one of the most common things I think that's out there. Going, what do we need to work on to be a better trials rider? It doesn't exist yet. So
and do you know what? I think I could actually genuinely help a few people with pushing their level in terms of the gym and the fitness side of things. I'd be more than up for putting content together. Maybe we could do something together.
We will. I'm going to chat to you off air in a second, so these guys will be really, really want to know what we spoke about. But mate, thanks again, and hopefully see you very soon. We'll be out on a ride.
Cheers for having me on. It's been great,
mate. Absolute pleasure. It was a pleasure to have you and get chit chatting, mate. Enjoy, and I'll speak to you very, very soon.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, buddy. Bye.
Bye.
Ah, you